Hi, I'm Melissa Bill, and welcome to the Business Roundup, where we catch up with the movers and shakers in the business world. Today, joining me is Brian J. Esposito. He's the CEO of DiamondLake. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Melissa, such a pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
So, today we're going to kind of look at the future of decentralized finance as we head into 2026. And I like to kind of give the guest a little bit of a chance to talk a little bit about their background. So as we open it up, do you want to discuss like how you kind of got started in finance and business in general? And then we can start getting into the Bitcoin and crypto industry.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan. So 24, 25 years now as an entrepreneur. So always starting, building, acquiring companies throughout my entire career. My private holding company is known as Esposito Intellectual Enterprises, and that currently consists now of over 115 different companies. We operate in over 25 different industries and proudly have accumulated over 200 joint ventures around the world. So that's my life's work and machine that continues to grow and evolve. How I got into finance is just trying to figure out how to keep all these things alive, get them properly funded. Most of my career has been entirely self-funded, so a very painful journey of understanding how do you get the best leveraging your assets, the best rates, always trying to build companies with real earnings and revenues. That's been my model. If you want to be in business, you need revenues. If you want to stay in business, you need to be profitable. I never got on board with the whole unsustainable valuation journey that a lot of people tend to find themselves on, or trying to create a unicorn. So that's been my world. As far as digital assets and tokenization, I got heavily involved in that over 13 years ago now. And in my mind, it was just a very simple philosophy. If people are transacting using this new form of currency known as a token or crypto or a digital asset, and there's communities that's being built around that, well, I need to find a way to build that into my companies, just like you would build taking cash if you're going to take checks or wires or credit cards, PayPal, Venmo. There's always a new evolution of some sort of financial mechanism. So that was the initial reasoning. And then I never went into the gray area or the ICO market where people found themselves in harm's way or doing things against regulatory. I learned, how do I build these things into my companies? And then how do I do it without any banking issues or any regulatory fines or dings? And I went all in on what are known as security tokens. Partnered with INX, T0, and Securitize very early on. These are companies that nobody knew who the hell they were. They had the right license to do these things, the right regulatory framework. Now they're very famous and powerful entities. So that's been my road. I never was investing into digital currencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum as a speculator. I was building and growing my own inside of my own companies. Then in August of 23, I came to the realization, and it's still very relevant today, that most people don't understand any of this stuff. They don't understand crypto, NFTs, digital assets. They don't trust it. They don't trust going onto a site or an exchange or downloading a wallet and putting their personal information in. So there's so many friction points to get involved into this space still. So I said, well, what do people know how to do? They know how to buy a stock. They're very comfortable with that entire process. Honored to take over as CEO of DiamondLake. My partner, Michael Reynolds, an incredible icon in finance and broker-dealers for over 30 years. And over 40 years, actually. So we set out to build an old school GE structured conglomerate, much like my private holdings, and go in an industry agnostic approach and build and grow companies that we have access in and seasoned in. Build an incredible, iconic board of advisors and team. And these are leaders in their space in TV, film, music, and media. Banking and finance, casinos and gaming, professional sports, hotels, the list goes on. Just incredible people. And we build and grow companies. And oh yeah, by the way, we have tokenization built into the business model. So we've made it very easy for companies of all sizes to understand how to get involved in the space, how to partner or work with us in our strategy, and utilizing the licenses and experiences that we have to bring digital assets to the market.
No, that's amazing. Now, I know we kind of talked a little bit before we got on the call, and then we can talk about how this is going to tackle those situations. So crypto, Bitcoin, there was a crash probably a little over 2 weeks ago, just started sliding down. And it shows that people are still, like you were pointing out, they're still timid about the market. They don't trust it. I know they're talking about regulation and different types of things. What do you think we're going to see as we kind of head into 2026 in this area?
Yeah, well, I've never been in a Bitcoin believer. I need to know who's behind something, right? So smart money always bets on management and seasoned management. So when there's an issue in a company or a project or an industry, you tend to look at who are the leaders in that space and can they run it properly or can they turn it around? When you look at something like Bitcoin, you can't point to, well, who's running that? Who's managing that? And the last week, what very apparently what happened, a lot of rattled retail investors dumped, but there was a tremendous move in the good old boys network and institutions picking up all of those sold Bitcoin. So there's very obvious in my mind moves now that Bitcoin's in a manipulated environment, much like a lot of other commodities. So how do you safely operate in that space? Not for us and not my vision. My vision is, or our strategy is great management, great companies and projects and assets, and then tokenizing them for the 99 percenters around the world to actually participate in owning something or owning a piece of revenue of something that they never had a chance in their life to do. And that's all because they have a digital phone and the ability to download a digital wallet to participate in, what I believe are great offerings. When you're looking at crypto or tokenization or digital assets or security tokens, whatever buzzword you hear, I think you got to do all your due diligence as an investor, whether a retail investor or institutional investor, and look at who's running these things. And are these businesses or projects profitable and can they continue to grow? And when you have a really sound business with a token attached to it that people can earn from or share earnings from, then you have a successful digital asset in the market. The other ones, all the meme coins, the trillions of dollars in that space, most of them you have no idea who's running them. They're not even real entities or businesses or real strategies or roadmap. Very scary situation to be with all that capital tied up. So my theory is that all the youth of the world that made a tremendous amount of money, if they were smart enough to still keep it by participating in those meme tokens or those ICO moments or those coins that aren't really backed by anything or don't have any real management, you would think that they're going to grow up and they're going to look for more sophisticated investments to put their money in, but investments that are still all utilizing blockchain and cryptocurrencies.
And so we're going to see now. Do you think we're definitely going to see a lot more the future, like decentralized finance, is going to go more in that area?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, the efficiencies of ownership, immutable proof of ownership. You can look at Bitcoin, maybe it's still a high 60% market share. So you also have to assume that if other companies are starting to tokenize their assets, their balance sheets, their revenues, or their IP, you're going to probably start to see a continued dwindle of how much market share does Bitcoin continue to have in the market because there's more assets coming into the market that are going to be tokenized. So if you look at it even in that lens, you would assume that it's just going to keep getting lower and lower. So when you look, the important thing for companies like ours and other ones that are tokenizing assets, I strongly always advocate that don't just tokenize something for the sake of tokenizing. We need a strong movement that has really sound companies and management and assets that are coming to the market that are tokenized, that have real value, and not just a fluff piece or a quick way to bring in some capital with no real long-term strategy or plan, or have that capital trapped in a token that has no liquidity. Real businesses with real earnings can always buy those tokens back from any token holders that wishes to sell or exit in the market. So you don't need really crazy secondary trading like most traders want to see. I want to see our companies and our efforts have great businesses, share those businesses with the world. If people wish to exit their token at some point, we want to be right there buying it back.
And now, how is Diamond Lake going to kind of lead ethically in this space as we move forward? The tokenization model. You kind of pointed to a few areas.
Yeah, my entire ethos for over 25 years has been ethical to a fault. Proudly tell people, no, get away from me. I don't want to work with you if I don't align with their morals, values, or integrity. So we're money second. The ownership of Diamond Lake too, and the control ownership of Diamond Lake, we're really creating a security with long-term value, a long-term vision. We're not in a hurry to do something wrong, which is why we've been very calculated in our approach. Again, I'm a little over 2 years taking this thing over as CEO, and our growth and momentum and the things that we've accomplished with only raising a little over $1 million, because it was a very systematic move on creating a security that we have been called the Berkshire Hathaway of tokenization. It's such a humbling and incredible thing to be called. But when I think about that and hear people telling us that we resemble that, well, there's a little bit of truth to that in my mind, because we're building a very scarce security, which is the Diamond Lake share. not a lot of supply. So if we can execute properly and perform a great balance sheet and great earnings and dividends for our shareholders, you would anticipate that people would want to be involved, and you have a supply and demand issue. Then when we roll out and implement our tokenization model, we didn't jump in on taking advantage of the market and do things like silly one-off tokenizations or adding some AI buzzwords just to grab money. We're really building a long-term plan and strategy on. We believe our model is the right future model for any company around the world that wishes to tokenize anything. So our approach is build and grow your company any way you possibly can with cash flows, selling equity, issuing debt, taking bank lines of credit, and then, oh yeah, tokenization. So it's not just tokenization or nothing as far as what we've built and what we're doing. It's a very systematic way to properly build it into your business model, get comfortable and experience with this new financial medium or mechanism. And then from there, start to build more and more use cases within your businesses on more and more assets or portions of your business that could be tokenized.
And what do you foresee, I guess, for the future for the company? What is like the growth and the direction you want to go in?
Well, we had our initial model, which is still strong. We have our subsidiaries. We keep announcing we want to build and grow our own assets and our own portfolio of companies or interest underneath our umbrella. So that's what we're doing. We're continuously doing that. And if you look at our board and team, we're going heavily in TV, film, and music, consumer products, hotels and hospitality, casino and gaming, uh, c- um, financial, new financial mechanisms to a point. And and that's great. What we've done there and what we've moved there, we even took a big position of a licensed regulated exchange. So we have that under our own umbrella as well, where we can bring our own offerings to market with no delay and very efficient cost. But because of our story and who we are and all the work that we've done and the credibility that we've given ourselves in the market, we're getting such inbound of companies that are salivating over tokenizing something within their company or their holdings or their portfolio. And we're looking at that and we're saying there's a business there that we didn't even anticipate. Now it's doing what we set out to do and not losing focus on that, but it's also curating this huge pipeline of interested companies around the world that want to partner with us and creating another business and revenue model based upon selecting the right ones that we know we can work well together and that we can bring in new revenues from this pipeline, but also companies that we know we can add value to and de-risk it. Because again, like I said before, we don't want to put assets in the market and tokenize them just for the sake of a news announcement. We want to make sure that we're really creating value. Every one is a 100 out of 100 is a success. The industry's too early to have any failures. So if you have any failures or a miss, it's hard to come back from that. So we want to make sure everything that we're doing and everybody that we're partnering with is as de-risked as possible and has every outcome to be a substantial success for our stakeholders, our token holders, and our investors.
And now, as far as regulation, I know they're talking about that, like a broader scheme. Do you think more regulation is going to happen? What do you feel is like, kind of down the road for this industry?
Yeah, it has to happen. My
Yeah.
concern is the right people are writing the right regulation that understand the industry, right? So if you don't have experience, and it's hard to say experience because nobody's an expert in this space. We're all still learning it. We're all still figuring it out. From our side, we're just making sure we do everything within the guidelines of the law and rules and regulations. We don't play in any gray area. A lot of companies have, a lot of people have, and they made a lot of money. And to each their own. I don't know how they can sleep at night. But for us, we invite regulation. It protects people, but we don't want it um, to stall great innovation. That's the catch 22. You want to allow companies with really great technology, amazing access and industry to make some substantial changes. And if you want to be a leader, like current administration says, where we want the United States to be the crypto capital of the world, great. That's amazing. And there's definitely some movement there. Right now, Middle East is owning that space because they've just let people build. They've financed it. They've let people feel comfortable. They let people know they're not going to go to jail if they try to do some digital asset technology or new blockchain technology. So when it comes to regulation is usually that problem of very long time policy and policy changes and then people just have to sit and wait until they know they can operate correctly and not get into any trouble. So I'm hoping you got some entrepreneurial leaders that are writing those policies and what new regulation looks like and properly expediting it for the market here in the States where we can start to really thrive as being that leader in this industry.
So kind of a balance between the regulation and but still allowing for that creativity and for, it to grow.
You have to. Yeah, and we have to get some of that talent that left here that are building great technologies and communities and really, really substantial valuations in other parts of the world.
In Europe, because I know Europe is what are other parts of the world that are really kind of flourishing, or you think we can look to for what they're doing?
Definitely Middle East, UAE, Saudi have been tremendous leaders on this, and because their old uh, export product isn't their main bread and butter anymore. And then went into hospitality and tourism. So they, like us too. Like what can we proudly say that the U.S. owns as far as manufacturing and development? And when Silicon Valley Bank and Silvergate Bank and Signature Bank got their asses kicked a year or two ago and ripped out of the market, that really killed capital flowing into innovation and companies and startups that are bringing great opportunities to the market. Other countries were pretty smart to pick up on that and take advantage of that poor move on our part. So Singapore has been phenomenal with fueling innovation around technology and blockchain and digital assets. Puerto Rico, was a good hub for this for a while, but I think they lost their flag in the sand, and a lot of movements have happened over into the UAE right now. But I think we're going to get it back. But people aren't stupid either. They want to they're going to go where money's flowing and where they don't have anybody over their shoulder putting their hand down on them so they can't possibly grow. And we're not there yet here in the States, but I think we're getting closer.
Well, it'll be amazing to see what happens in the future. And if people wanted more information about Diamond Lake, where would they find that?
Socials are at Diamond Lake or legacy companies, Diamond Lake Minerals. It's been a public company out of Salt Lake City since 1954. Tremendous history and now an incredible revamp of what the company is and who we are going forward. Myself, Brian J. Esposito, on any socials. I'm always accessible. I love hearing from people. I love taking questions and giving any advice or opinions that I can.
Awesome. Well, it's been a great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for joining the Business Roundup, where we always try to bring you interviews with some of the leading people in business, whether it be technology, finance, or energy. I hope you tune in. I hope you subscribe and listen, and we'll give you updates for new interviews that are coming up. Until next time, I'm Melissa Bell.